It's our top controllers ever. Oh, baby.
Coming in at number 6, Wii U Pro Controller. This baby is smooth AF. Light as a cloud, easy on the eyes. It's wireless and rechargeable. So those companies still making corded and battery-powered controllers, I say, why? Many criticized the Wii U Pro Controller when it was announced in 2012 for being too similar to the Xbox 360. Some even claimed this was bait to get Xbox gamers to come on over to Nintendo. To them I say, come on in. The water's fine. Also, who was it that invented A, B, X, Y, and trigger buttons? These controllers flew off the shelves, and they were a hot commodity. Well, to those of us who purchased Wii U's in the first place. And for those of us who didn't want to hold massive bricks playing Breath of the Wild, this baby was a dream come true.
Now during the PS2 and Gamecube era, they started to come out with some wireless controller options. And I took notice. I had a cool Logitech wireless PS2 controller, but you know what? Like Nelly Furtado says, I'm like a bird. So I preferred Nintendo's Wavebird GameCube controller, which falls at number 5 on our list. It came with a receiver you'd plug into the controller port, then tune it and the controller to the same frequency, and then you'd be soaring. It's so commonplace now, but at the time, wireless controllers felt so freeing. I can remember how nice it felt to just sink into my couch in whatever position I wanted to play my video games. On top of that, the GameCube controller was the best feeling controller of the generation, in my opinion. The triggers were deep and clicky, nice and large so that your finger could really curl around it, and the button placement was lovely. I loved having the giant main A button surrounded by his other button buddies. And like a true buddy, the Wavebird treated me like a true friend whenever I played Melee, Wind Waker, or any other title in the GameCube library.
Coming in at number 4, Joycons. Joycons are the height of Nintendo creativity and innovation. You can do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And I know what you're thinking, Madison, what about the drift? Well, personally, I have this Joy-Con, and this Joy-Con, and this Joy-Con, and this Joy-Con, this Joy-Con, and this Joy-Con, and this Joy-Con. And only one of these little babies has ever gotten the drift. And yeah, I play with them a lot. Plus, Nintendo has an excellent program where you can send these off for free, and they will either fix or replace your Joy-Con. Now, should this issue have been addressed with the OLED? Most definitely. But these little babies are like controllers. They're like, these controllers are like the Legos of the gaming world. Plus, that click sound is just so satisfying.
The PS5 controller is called the DualSense because it makes more sense than any PlayStation controller before it. That and like, you can sense different feelings with your fingers. But seriously, I can't play with any other older PlayStation controller model like ever again because the DualSense is so good. The controller is a bit larger and weighs more than previous Sony controllers, fitting into your hands a bit better. The triggers are the best they've been ever. They curve in rather than previous DualShock designs where the triggers were more rounded. On top of that, when you shoot guns, it feels more like you're shooting a gun. The triggers take different pressures to pull depending on the weapons. It'll rumble when you fire something. And then the controller as a whole, holy cow, moo! All around the controller, you can feel like anything the game developers want you to feel. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Astro's Playroom really show off what the controller can do. In Ratchet, you can feel when your characters step on the ground, on the left and right sides, once at a time when they walk or run. In Astro's Playroom, you can feel things like rain fall around the controller and inclement weather. It all helps the DualSense reign supreme amongst Sony's kingdom of controllers.
Dancing in at number 2, the Wiimote. November 9th, 2006, the Wii changed the world of gaming forever. This bad boy is a heartbreaker. If my heart's new TV. Have you ever experienced the true joy of just playing spread eagle on your couch? Video games, people, seriously, get your mind out of the gutter. With one arm holding your Wiimote and the other holding your nunchuck, you could enter the ultimate state of relaxation as you not only did the Wiimote come in a variety of colors and special editions, this was the height of silicone covers and stickers. The Wiimote itself rotates and then bam! It's a classic NES controller. The nunchuck, well, that says it all. Nintendo gave us a ninja tool, making you feel like a badass while you box the night away. With the invention of the wrist strap, you could categorize your friends into 2 piles, rule followers and the risk takers. Or perhaps those just traumatized by the loss of their TVs.
If the NES controller was a basis for virtually all other controllers to follow, then the SNES controller is the perfect follow-up to it that introduced a few other main features that all other controllers utilize, which is why it's our #1 controller. The SNES controller built upon the D-pad, A and B buttons, and start and select buttons by adding an X and Y button and shoulder buttons. You could do way more now, including deciding what button setup was most comfortable for you by exploring the options in certain games. It does what a good controller should. Makes the player feel like they have more control. And it was super comfortable. It's a tad bigger than the NES controller, like a little bit, and it felt great in your hands. And resting your fingers on the L and R buttons feels great. And now most controllers you see feature the 4 main face buttons and the L and R buttons, but now they're usually accompanied by triggers. Like the DualSense probably wouldn't be as cool if the Super Nintendo controller hadn't have been invented. And the Gamecube controller is basically a Super Nintendo controller, just a little more abstract. And that wraps up our list, but guys, what are your top controllers? We want to know, so comment below and don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell to see more gaming goodness from us.